I want to reveal to you why these words hold such tremendous power and how you can use them to manifest everything you've ever desired. You see, most people spend their entire life searching outside themselves for power, for permission, for validation. They believe their desires must be achieved through hard work, struggle, and external forces. But I tell you this, all power resides within your own consciousness. When you declare, I'm the power, you are acknowledging the fundamental truth of existence. You are recognizing that the force that moves the stars and grows the flowers is the same force that flows through your consciousness. Let me tell you something profound about these 4 words. When you speak them, you're not making a mere affirmation. You're declaring your true nature, your essential being. You're acknowledging the creative force within you. Consider this. Every great achievement in human history began with someone recognizing their inner power. They didn't wait for external permission. They didn't seek validation from others. They understood that all power flows from within. You see, most people have it backwards. They say, when I have this, then I will be powerful. But I tell you this, you must first assume your power, and then all things become possible. These 4 words, I am the power, are not just words to be spoken. They must be felt. They must be lived. They must become your dominant state of consciousness. Let me share with you what happens when you truly embody these words. The entire universe must reorganize itself to reflect your new self-concept. This is not metaphysics. This is law. Most of you sit here tonight thinking about what you want to manifest. But I tell you this, manifestation is not about getting something you don't have. It's about revealing what already exists within your consciousness. When you declare, I am the power, you're not creating power. You're acknowledging what has always been true. This recognition changes everything. Your entire world must shift to align with this declaration. You see, most people approach manifestation like beggars, hoping and wishing for their desires to be granted. But when you know I am the power, you approach life as a creator, knowing that what you decree must manifest. Let me share something profound about consciousness. Your consciousness is the only reality. Everything you see in your world is simply consciousness made visible. Therefore, when you declare I am the power, you're literally reshaping your entire universe. Think about this. Every morning when you wake up, you're either reinforcing your powerlessness or claiming your power. There's no neutral position. Every thought, every feeling, every assumption is either aligning with I am the power or denying it. You see, these 4 words are not just a positive affirmation. They are a recognition of the fundamental truth of your being. When you truly grasp this, manifestation becomes as natural as breathing. Most of you have been taught to look for power in external circumstances, in money, in relationships, in social status. But I tell you this, all these things are merely effects. The cause lies in your consciousness. Consider what happens when you truly know, I am the power. You no longer beg, you no longer plead, you no longer hope. You simply decree, and by law, your decree must manifest. Let me share with you why these words are so transformative. When you declare, I am the power, you're shifting your entire self-concept. You're no longer seeing yourself as a victim of circumstances, but as the creator of circumstances. You see, most people spend their lives reacting to what they see. But when you know I am the power, you understand that what you see is simply your consciousness pushed out. Therefore, to change what you see, you must change your consciousness. Think about this. Every great achievement began with someone knowing they were the power. They didn't wait for conditions to change. They changed conditions by changing their consciousness. Let me share with you what happens in the depths of consciousness when you truly embody these 4 words. Your entire world begins to reorganize itself to match your new self-concept. You see, most people believe their circumstances dictate their state of being. But when you declare, I am the power, you reverse this process. Your state of being now dictates your circumstances. Consider this. Every moment of your life, you're either expressing power or expressing limitation. There is no middle ground. When you truly grasp these four words, you cease giving power to external conditions. Let me tell you something profound about manifestation. When you know I am the power, you stop asking how things will manifest. You understand that the power that knows the way will make the way. Most of you sit here tonight thinking about your problems, your limitations, your obstacles. But I tell you this, these are merely shadows cast by a consciousness that has forgotten I am the power. You see, when you truly embody these four words, you enter a new dimension of being. In this dimension, problems don't need to be solved. They simply dissolve in the light of your consciousness. Think about this. Everything you see in your world right now is the result of your previous concepts about yourself. Change the concept by knowing I am the power, and your world must change. Let me share with you the true meaning of these words. When you declare I am the power, you're not making a positive statement. You're acknowledging your true identity. Most of you have been taught to look for causes outside yourself. But when you know I am the power, you understand that you are the only cause in your world. Consider this carefully. Every condition in your life right now is simply a shadow of your consciousness. When you truly know I am the power, you cease fighting shadows and start changing consciousness. Let me tell you about the transformative nature of these four words. When you declare I am the power, you're not just changing your thoughts. You're changing the very foundation of your reality. You see, most people live their entire lives believing they're victims of circumstances. But when you truly embody I am the power, you understand that circumstances are merely reflections of consciousness. Consider what happens when you wake up each morning knowing I'm the power. Suddenly, obstacles become opportunities. Problems become possibilities. Every challenge becomes a chance to demonstrate your creative power. Let me share something profound about these words. When you declare I am the power, you're not making a future promise. You're claiming a present reality. This distinction changes everything. Most of you sit here thinking about what you want to create in your future. But I tell you this, there is no future creation. There's only present assumption. When you know I am the power, you understand that what you assume now must manifest. You see, these four words are not just a statement. They are a complete shift in consciousness. When you truly embody them, you cease looking outside yourself for anything. Think about this. Every time you say, I can't, or it's too difficult, you're denying these four words. You're giving your power away to external conditions. Let me tell you what happens when you consistently maintain this consciousness. Your entire world must reshape itself to reflect your new self-concept. Most of you have spent years accumulating evidence of your limitations. But when you know I am the power, you understand that all past evidence is irrelevant. Only your present assumption matters. Consider this. Every great achievement in your life began with a shift in consciousness. When you knew you could, you did. These four words simply make this knowing permanent. Let me share with you something profound about these four words that most will never understand. When you declare, I am the power, you're not just making a statement. You're activating the very force that created the universe. You see, most people spend their lives waiting for permission to be powerful. They wait for the right circumstances, the right credentials, the right moment. But I tell you this, the only permission you need is your own recognition that I am the power. Consider what happens in your world when you truly embody these words. Your relationships change because you no longer seek power from others. Your work transforms because you no longer depend on external validation. Your entire life shifts because you're operating from a new dimension of consciousness. Let me tell you about the subtle shift that occurs when you consistently maintain this state. You stop asking, when will my desire manifest? Because you understand that manifestation is not a future event. It's a present moment recognition. Most of you have been taught that power is something to be acquired. But when you declare I'm the power, you understand that power is your natural state. Everything else is learned powerlessness. You see, these four words challenge everything you've been taught about. Cause and effect. When you know I am the power, you understand that consciousness is the only cause and everything else is effect. Think about this. Every time you say, I hope or I wish, you're denying these four words. You're placing power outside yourself in some future event or external circumstance. Let me share with you what happens when you maintain this consciousness consistently. Your entire world must rearrange itself to match your new self-concept. This is not theory, this is law. Most of you sit here tonight thinking about your past failures, your current limitations, your future obstacles. But I tell you this, all of these are merely shadows cast by a consciousness that has forgotten I am the power. Consider this. Every moment of your life, you're either expressing power or expressing limitation. There is no neutral ground. When you truly grasp these four words, you cease giving power to anything external. Let me reveal to you the deeper meaning behind these four words. When you declare I am the power, you're not making a casual statement. You're aligning yourself with the fundamental creative force of the universe. You see, most people live their entire lives believing that power lies in their actions, their resources, their connections. But I tell you this, all these are merely expressions of consciousness. When you know I am the power, your actions flow from this knowing. Consider what happens when you approach each day from this consciousness. You no longer wake up wondering what the day will bring. You wake up knowing that you bring to the day whatever you decree in consciousness. Let me tell you about the transformation that occurs when you live from these four words. You stop seeking validation from others because you understand that all validation comes from within. You stop fighting circumstances because you know that circumstances are merely shadows. Most of you have spent years trying to change effects while leaving the cause untouched. But when you declare, I am the power, you go straight to the cause, your own consciousness.
You see, these four words contain within them the secret of all creation. When you truly embody them, you understand that everything in your world is simply your consciousness pushed out.
Think about this. Every time you blame external conditions for your state, you're denying these four words. You're giving away your creative power to shadows. Let me share with you what happens when this consciousness becomes natural to you. You stop asking, how will this happen? Because you understand that the power that knows the way will make the way. Most of you sit here thinking about what's possible and what's impossible. But I tell you this, possibility and impossibility exist only in consciousness. When you know I am the power, all things become possible. Consider this. Every limitation in your life right now exists only because you've accepted it in consciousness. When you truly embody these four words, all limitations dissolve. Let me share with you something profound about these four words that will forever change how you view manifestation. When you declare, I am the power, you're not just speaking words. You're awakening to your true identity. You see, most people spend their lives seeking power through achievement, through accumulation, through recognition. But I tell you this, all seeking ends when you realize that you are what you've been seeking. Consider what happens when you truly grasp these words. You stop looking for signs, you stop waiting for permission, you stop seeking approval, because when you know I am the power, what else could you possibly need? Let me tell you about the shift that occurs in your relationships when you embody these words. You no longer need others to complete you, to validate you, to empower you. You become complete within yourself, and paradoxically, this completeness attracts more fulfilling relationships. Most of you have been taught that power comes from doing. But when you declare I'm the power, you understand that power comes from being. Your doing then flows naturally from your being. You see, these four words revolutionize your entire approach to manifestation. You stop trying to make things happen and start allowing them to unfold from your consciousness. Think about this. Every time you say, I'll try or I hope, you're actually denying your power. You're placing the fulfillment of your desires in some uncertain future. Let me share with you what happens. When you maintain this consciousness consistently, your entire world must reshape itself to reflect this new self-concept. This is not magic, this is law. Most of you sit here tonight thinking about what you need to do to manifest your desires. But I tell you this, Manifestation is not about doing, it's about being. When you know I am the power, the doing takes care of itself. Consider this. Every great achievement in history began with someone knowing their power. They didn't wait for conditions to be perfect. They understood that conditions respond to consciousness, you see. Most people spend their lives in reaction mode, responding to circumstances, adapting to conditions. But I tell you this, when you know I am the power, you create circumstances, you determine conditions. Consider what happens when you approach each moment from this consciousness. You no longer see problems as obstacles. You see them as opportunities to demonstrate your creative power. Let me tell you about the transformation that occurs in your financial world when you embody these words. Money ceases to be something you chase and becomes something you attract through your consciousness of abundance. Most of you have been programmed to believe that success requires struggle. But when you declare, I am the power, you understand that success is simply the natural expression of your consciousness. You see, these 4 words completely transform your relationship with time. When you truly know I am the power, you cease postponing your good to some future date. Think about this. Every time you say, when I have this, then I'll be powerful, you're denying your present power. You're placing your power in external conditions. Let me share with you what happens when this consciousness becomes your natural state. The entire experience of reality shifts. What seemed impossible becomes inevitable. Most of you sit here tonight thinking about your past failures, your present limitations, your future uncertainties. But I tell you this, all these are merely shadows cast by a consciousness that has forgotten its power. Consider this. Every moment of your life, you're either expressing power or expressing limitation. There's no middle ground. When you truly grasp these 4 words, you cease giving power to anything external. Let me share with you the final and most crucial understanding about these 4 words. When you declare I am the power, you are making the ultimate declaration of independence from all external influences. You see, tonight marks a turning point in your life. From this moment forward, you will never again see yourself as powerless. You will never again give your power away to circumstances, to other people, or to past experiences. Consider this moment right now. As you sit here absorbing these words, you have a choice. You can continue living as you have been, seeing power as something outside yourself, or you can claim your true identity by knowing I am the power. Let me tell you what your world will look like when you fully embody these words. Everything that once seemed like an obstacle will become a stepping stone. Every challenge will become an opportunity to demonstrate your creative power. Most of you came here tonight seeking answers. But I tell you this, the only answer you need is already within you. It is the knowing, the absolute conviction that I am the power. You see, these 4 words are not just a technique or a method. They are a complete revolution in consciousness. When you truly embody them, your entire world must transform. Think about tomorrow morning when you wake up. Will you rise as the same person who came here tonight? Or will you rise knowing I am the power, ready to create your day consciously? Let me share with you this final truth. There's no power outside of you. There never was and there never will be. All power resides in consciousness, and you are that consciousness. From this moment forward, let every breath you take be a reminder that I am the power. Let every heartbeat affirm this truth. Let every step you take be from this consciousness. Remember, you are not becoming powerful. You are simply recognizing what has always been true. You are the power that creates worlds. You are the power that moves mountains. You are the power that transforms lives. Tonight, make this sacred commitment to yourself. Promise that you will never again deny your power. Promise that you will never again give your power away. Promise that you will live every moment from the consciousness that I am the power. For this promise lies your freedom. In this recognition lies your transformation. In this knowing lies everything you have ever desired. Go forth now, not as seekers, but as knowers, not as hopeful dreamers, but as conscious creators, not as victims of circumstances, but as masters. For when you know, truly know, I am the power. Nothing in this world can stand against you. Nothing can deny you. Nothing can limit you. This is your moment. This is your time. This is your power. Now rise up and claim it. Rise up and live it. Rise up and be it. For you are the power. You have always been the power. And you will always be the power. Let this be your final understanding, your ultimate truth, your eternal knowing. I am the power. And so it is.
Before we delve into these rules, let us first understand the nature of attachment itself. In the word of Caesar, we are taught from an early age that our happiness, our very sense of self, is dependent on others. We are conditioned to believe that our worth is measured by the affection and approval of those around us. This, my dear friends, is the great illusion that keeps us bound to a life of limitation and suffering. But I say unto you, true freedom lies not in clinging to others, but in recognizing the divinity within yourself. For you are God made manifest, the very essence of creation expressing itself in human form. And in this realization lies the power to detach from all external sources of validation and love. Now, let us turn our attention to the first rule of emotional detachment. Recognize the I am within. This rule, my beloved listeners, is the foundation upon which all else is built. For until you truly understand and embody the I am presence within you, you will forever be at the mercy of external circumstances and relationships. The I am is not some distant, unknowable force. It is the very core of your being, the divine spark that animates your existence. It is the God within, the source of all creation, and the wellspring of infinite possibility. When you say I am, you are invoking the name of God, for did not the scriptures tell us, I am that I am? This is the name by which the divine identified itself to Moses, and it is the name by which you must identify yourself in every moment of your existence. To emotionally detach from someone, you must first attach yourself wholly and completely to the I am within. This is not a rejection of love or connection, but rather a recognition that all love, all connection, all fulfillment comes from within. Imagine, if you will, a beautiful oak tree. Its branches reach towards the heavens. Its leaves dance in the sunlight. But what gives this tree its strength, its very life? Is it not the roots hidden beneath the earth, drawing nourishment from the soil? So too must you be rooted in the I am, drawing your strength and sustenance not from the fleeting affections of others, but from the eternal wellspring of divinity within. Practice this, my dear friends. In every moment of your day, affirm the I am. Say to yourself, I am love. I am peace. I am fulfillment. Feel the power of these words resonating through every cell of your being. For in doing so, you are aligning yourself with the creative force of the universe. As you strengthen your connection to the I am, you will find that your need for emotional validation from others begins to diminish. Like a candle whose flame grows ever brighter, you will become a source of light unto yourself and others. But remember, this is not a practice of isolation or disconnection. Rather, it is the foundation for true, unconditional love. For when you are firmly rooted in the I am, you can extend love to others without expectation or attachment. You become a channel for divine love, allowing it to flow through you freely, unobstructed by fear or need. Now let us move on to the second rule of emotional detachment, live in the end. This rule, my dear listeners, is the very essence of creation. For what you experience in your physical reality is but a shadow, a reflection of what you have already accepted as true in your imagination. To emotionally detach from someone, you must live in the end of complete emotional freedom and self-sufficiency. You must see yourself in your mind's eye as one who is whole, complete and fulfilled, independent of any external relationship or circumstance. Close your eyes for a moment, if you will, and imagine yourself standing tall, radiating confidence and inner peace. See yourself moving through your day with grace and ease, unaffected by the opinions or actions of others. Feel the joy and contentment that comes from knowing that you are the source of your own happiness. This, my friends, is living in the end. It is not a denial of your current circumstances, but rather a recognition of the power of your imagination to shape your reality. For as you persist in this vision of emotional freedom, you will find that your outer world begins to conform to this inner truth. Remember, the world is yourself pushed out. What you hold as true in your imagination must, by the very laws of creation, manifest in your experience. Therefore, if you continue to imagine yourself as emotionally dependent on another, you will continue to experience that dependency in your life. But if you dare to imagine yourself as emotionally free, as one who is complete unto themselves, then that is what you shall become. The person from whom you wish to detach will either fall away naturally from your life, or your relationship with them will transform into one of mutual respect and freedom. Practice this living in the end daily. Before you sleep at night and as you wake in the morning, spend a few moments in quiet contemplation, experiencing the feeling of being emotionally detached and self-sufficient. Feel the relief, the lightness, the joy that comes with this state of being. As you persist in this practice, you will find that your emotional reactions to the person begin to change. Where once there was attachment and need, there will be understanding and compassion. Where once there was fear of loss, there will be an unshakable knowing of your own completeness. Now let us explore the third rule of emotional detachment. Assume the state of the wish fulfilled. This rule, my dear friends, is closely related to living in the end, but it goes a step further. It asks you not only to imagine the end state, but to fully assume it as your current reality. This is the art of what I call thinking from the end rather than thinking of the end. To emotionally detach from someone, you must assume the state of one who is already detached. This is not a matter of pretending or forcing yourself to feel a certain way. Rather, it is about stepping into a new state of consciousness, a new self-concept. Imagine, if you will, that you are an actor on a stage. Up until now, you have been playing the role of someone emotionally attached and dependent. But now you are given a new role, that of someone who is emotionally free and self-sufficient. Your task is to fully embody this new character, to think, feel, and act as they would. How would this emotionally detached version of yourself move through the world? How would they speak? How would they react to situations? How would they feel about themselves and others? Assume these qualities fully, not as something to be achieved in the future, but as your present reality. This assumption of the wish fulfilled is not about denial or suppression of your current feelings. It is about shifting your focus and your energy to a new state of being. It is about choosing moment by moment to align yourself with the version of you that is already emotionally detached. As you assume this state, you may find that your thoughts and feelings towards the person begin to shift naturally. Where once there was a constant preoccupation with their actions and reactions, there is now a calm indifference. Where once there was a need for their approval or affection, there is now a deep sense of self-approval and self-love. Remember, my dear listeners, that your assumption, if persisted in, will harden into fact. Therefore, guard your assumptions carefully. Do not allow yourself to slip back into the old state of attachment. If you find your thoughts drifting towards dependency or need, gently but firmly bring them back to the state of the wish fulfilled. This practice may feel challenging at first, especially if you have been in a state of emotional attachment for a long time. But I assure you, with persistence and faith, it will become more natural. For you are not creating a new reality, but simply aligning yourself with the truth of your being, a being that is whole, complete, and free. As you continue to assume the state of emotional detachment, you will find that your interactions with the person begin to change. You may notice that you no longer react to their words or actions with the same intensity. You may find that you can engage with them from a place of calm neutrality, free from the need to control or change them. This, my friends, is the power of assumption. It is the key to not only emotional detachment, but to all creation. For as you assume, so shall it be done unto you. Now let us turn our attention to the fourth rule of emotional detachment. Release all resistance. This rule, my beloved listeners, may seem paradoxical at first, for in your desire to detach, you may find yourself resisting the very feelings and thoughts you wish to release. But I say unto you, what you resist persists. The key to true detachment lies not in fighting against your attachment, but in releasing all resistance to what is. Consider, if you will, the nature of a river. It flows effortlessly towards the sea, not by pushing against the rocks in its path, but by flowing around them. So too must you learn to flow around the obstacles of attachment, rather than struggling against them. Resistance often manifests as judgment of yourself for feeling attached, judgment of the other person for their actions, judgment of the situation itself. But judgment, my dear friends, is the antithesis of detachment. It keeps you bound to the very thing you wish to release. Instead, practice acceptance. Accept your feelings of attachment without condemnation. Accept the other person exactly as they are, without trying to change them. Accept the situation as it is, without wishing it were different. This acceptance is not resignation or passivity. It is not about liking or approving of everything. Rather, it is about acknowledging what is without adding the extra layer of emotional resistance. It is about saying yes to the present moment, even as you work towards creating a different future. As you release resistance, you may find that many of the painful emotions associated with attachment begin to dissolve naturally. For it is not the attachment itself that causes suffering, but your resistance to it. When you cease to fight against what is, you open yourself to the flow of life, allowing transformation to occur effortlessly. Practice this release of resistance in every moment. When you notice yourself tensing up emotionally, whether in thought of the person or in their presence, consciously relax. Let go of the need to control the situation or the other person's behavior. Allow yourself to simply be without judgment or expectation. This practice of non-resistance extends to your thoughts as well. When thoughts of attachment arise, do not try to push them away or replace them with positive thoughts. Instead, observe them with detached awareness. Watch them arise and pass away like clouds in the sky without getting caught up in their story. As you cultivate this attitude of non-resistance, you will find that your emotional energy begins to shift. The intensity of your attachment will begin to dissolve, not through force or willpower, but through the gentle power of acceptance and allowing. Remember, my dear friends, that emotional detachment is not about becoming cold or unfeeling. It is about freeing yourself from the compulsive need for external validation and control. It is about creating space for true love to flourish, love that is given freely without expectation or attachment. Now let us explore the fifth and final rule of emotional detachment: cultivate inner stillness. This rule, my beloved listeners, is the culmination of all that we have discussed, for it is in the depths of inner stillness that true detachment is realized. Not as a concept or a practice, but as your very nature. Inner stillness is not the absence of thought or emotion. It is the presence of awareness, pure, unbounded, and eternally free. It is the discovery of your true self, beyond all attachments and identifications. To cultivate inner stillness, you must learn to step back from the constant chatter of your mind. You must create space between your thoughts, between your breaths, between your heartbeats. In this space lies the key to emotional freedom. Begin by setting aside time each day for quiet contemplation. Find a comfortable place where you will not be disturbed. Close your eyes and turn your attention inward. Focus on your breath, feeling the gentle rise and fall of your chest. As thoughts arise, and they will, for that is the nature of the mind, simply observe them without judgment. Do not try to stop your thoughts or change them. Instead, watch them come and go, like waves on the ocean of your consciousness. As you continue this practice, you may begin to notice moments of profound stillness. Moments when the chatter of your mind subsides and you are left with a deep sense of peace and presence. These moments, however brief, are glimpses of your true nature, the unchanging awareness that underlies all experience. From this place of inner stillness, emotional detachment arises naturally. For in the depths of your being, you recognize that you are not your thoughts, not your emotions, not your attachments. You are the awareness in which all these arise and pass away. As you cultivate this inner stillness, you will find that your emotional reactions begin to lose their grip. The person from whom you wish to detach no longer has the power to disturb your peace. Their words and actions may still create ripples on the surface of your mind, but they cannot touch the depths of your being. This inner stillness becomes your refuge, a place of peace and clarity to which you can return at any moment. When you feel yourself becoming entangled in attachment or emotional reactivity, simply take a deep breath and reconnect with this still center within you. From this place of stillness, you can engage with the world and with the person from whom you're detaching with grace and equanimity. You can love without attachment, care without dependency, and relate without losing yourself. Remember, my dear friends, that this inner stillness is not something you need to create or achieve. It is already present within you, waiting to be recognized. Your task is simply to remove the obstacles, the mental and emotional noise that obscure its presence. As you practice these 5 rules, recognizing the I am within, living in the end, assuming the state of the wish fulfilled, releasing all resistance, and cultivating inner stillness, you will find that emotional detachment becomes not just a goal to be achieved, but a natural expression of your true self. Now, my beloved listeners, I want you to understand that this journey of emotional detachment is not a linear process. It is not something that happens overnight or in a steady, predictable progression. Rather, it is a dance, a beautiful, sometimes challenging dance between your habitual patterns of attachment and your growing awareness of your true, detached nature. There will be moments of profound clarity and freedom, where you feel completely detached and at peace. Cherish these moments, for they are glimpses of your true potential. But do not become attached to them, for attachment to detachment is still attachment. There will also be moments when you feel as though you've slipped back into old patterns of emotional dependency. Do not judge yourself for these moments. They are not failures, but opportunities for deeper understanding and growth. Each time you notice yourself becoming entangled in attachment, it is an invitation to practice these principles anew. Remember, emotional detachment is not about suppressing your feelings or becoming indifferent to others. It is about freeing yourself from the compulsive need for external validation and control. It is about creating space for true love to flourish, love that is given freely without expectation or attachment. As you continue on this journey, you may find that your relationship with the person from whom you're detaching begins to transform. Without the weight of your emotional expectations and needs, they may feel freer to be themselves. You may discover a new kind of relationship emerging, one based on mutual respect and genuine care rather than dependency and fear. Or you may find that as you detach emotionally, the relationship naturally falls away. For relationships built solely on attachment and need cannot survive in the light of true emotional freedom. Trust in this process, for it is the natural unfolding of your alignment with your true self. Throughout this journey, be gentle with yourself. Emotional detachment is not about forcing yourself to feel or not feel certain things. It is about allowing yourself to be exactly as you are in each moment, while holding the vision of your emotionally free self. Practice self-compassion as you navigate this path. When you notice yourself slipping into old patterns of attachment, rather than berating yourself, offer yourself the same kindness and understanding you would offer a dear friend. Speak to yourself with words of encouragement and love. Remember also to celebrate your progress. No matter how small it may seem, each moment of awareness, each choice to align with your detached self is a victory. Acknowledge these moments, for they are the building blocks of your transformation. As you move through your days practicing these 5 rules of emotional detachment, you may begin to notice changes not just in your relationship with the specific person you're detaching from, but in all your relationships and interactions. You may find yourself becoming less reactive in general, less easily swayed by the opinions and actions of others. You may discover a new sense of inner peace and stability that remains constant regardless of external circumstances. This, my dear friends, is the true gift of emotional detachment. It is not just about freeing yourself from one specific attachment, but about realizing your inherent freedom in all situations. As you continue to practice, you may find that the very concept of detachment begins to shift. What once seemed like a goal to be achieved becomes simply your natural state of being. You realize that you were never truly attached in the first place, that attachment was merely a story you were telling yourself. In this realization lies true freedom. For when you know yourself as the unchanging awareness beneath all thoughts and emotions, what is there to attach to or detach from? You are already complete, already whole, already free. From this place of inner freedom, you can engage fully with life without becoming entangled. You can love deeply without losing yourself. You can care profoundly without being controlled by your caring. This, my beloved listeners, is the promise of emotional detachment. It is not a dry intellectual concept, but a living reality that you can embody in every moment of your existence. As we near the end of our exploration, I want to remind you that the power to emotionally detach lies entirely within you. It is not dependent on the actions or reactions of others. It does not require the cooperation or understanding of the person from whom you are detaching. It is a choice that you make moment by moment to align with your true free nature. In every interaction, in every thought of the person, you have the opportunity to practice these principles. Each moment is a new beginning, a fresh chance to choose detachment over attachment, freedom over dependency. Remember, the world around you is a reflection of your inner state. As you cultivate emotional detachment within yourself, you will find that your outer world begins to mirror this inner freedom. Relationships that were once sources of pain and struggle may transform into sources of joy and mutual growth, or they may fall away entirely, making space for new, more aligned connections to enter your life. Trust in this process, my dear friends. Trust in the wisdom of your own being. For as you align yourself with the truth of who you are, a divine, infinite being, complete unto yourself, all things must rearrange themselves to match this inner knowing. And so as we come to the close of this discourse, I invite you to take a moment to reflect on what you've heard. Feel the truth of these words resonating within you. Know that the power to emotionally detach, to free yourself from all limiting attachments, is already within you, waiting to be recognized and expressed. Go forth from this place with a renewed commitment to your emotional freedom. Practice these 5 rules diligently. Recognize the I am within. Live in the end. Assume the state of the wish fulfilled. Release all resistance and cultivate inner stillness. But above all, remember that you are already that which you seek to become. You are already detached, already free, already complete. Your task is simply to remove the veils of illusion that obscure this truth. In every moment, you have a choice. You can choose to identify with your attachments and dependencies, or you can choose to align with your true, free nature. Make this choice consciously, make it with love. And make it again and again until it becomes your natural state of being. And know, my beloved friends, that as you walk this path of emotional detachment, you are not alone. The entire universe conspires to support you in your journey towards freedom. For in freeing yourself, you contribute to the freedom of all beings. May you go forth in peace, in love, and in the unshakable knowing of your own divine completeness. May you find the strength to detach from all that no longer serves you, and the courage to embrace the fullness of your true, liberated self. Remember, you are the creator of your reality. You are the author of your story. Write a story of freedom, of joy, of unconditional love. For that is your birthright, and it is within your power to claim it. Go now and be the embodiment of emotional freedom. Be the living proof that true love needs no attachment, that true strength comes from within, that true peace is your very nature. And as you do, know that you are fulfilling your highest purpose, for in freeing yourself, you light the way for others. In detaching from your own limitations, you help to liberate the world. This, my dear friends, is the ultimate gift of emotional detachment. It is not just a personal practice, but a service to all of humanity. For as you free yourself, you create a ripple effect that touches all those around you, inviting them to recognize their own inherent freedom. So go forth with courage, with faith, and with the unwavering conviction that emotional detachment is not just possible, but inevitable. For it is the truth of your being, waiting to be realized. May you be blessed on your journey. May you find the strength to persist in these practices. And may you come to know, beyond all doubt, the joy and peace that comes from true emotional freedom. I speak to you tonight about a principle so profound, yet so simple, that many of you may dismiss it at first. But I tell you with absolute conviction, the most important focus of your life must be yourself. Not the self that the world knows, but the self that is your true identity, your divine nature, your I am. When I say focus on yourself, I am not speaking of the outer self that you present to the world. I speak of that deeper self, that infinite being within you, that is God. For you must understand this fundamental truth. Your consciousness, your I amness is God. This is not blasphemy. This is the deepest truth of Scripture, hidden in plain sight for those with eyes to see. Consider the words, be still, and know that I am God. These words are not speaking of a distant deity in some far-off heaven. They speak of your own wonderful human imagination, your own consciousness. When you truly focus on yourself, you are focusing on God. For you and the Father are one. Many of you come to me asking about manifestation, about creating your desires in the external world. But I tell you now, all manifestation begins with self-focus, with the recognition of who you really are. For how can you manifest anything if you do not first understand that you are the operant power? You are the God of your universe. Let me share with you a principle that I have tested and proven countless times. When you focus on yourself, your true self, you are focusing on the only creative power in existence. All things come from within. There is no other source. The world you see now is nothing more than your consciousness pushed out. Every person, every circumstance, every condition in your life is yourself pushed out. Do you understand the magnitude of this truth? Everything you see, everything you experience is yourself made visible. Therefore, to change anything in your world, you must first change yourself. Not the outer self, but your conception of yourself, your inner knowing. When I speak of focusing on yourself, I am speaking of assuming the state of consciousness of the person you wish to be. This is not about changing your actions first. Actions follow consciousness. First, you must focus on being the person who would naturally have, do, or be what you desire. Let me give you the perfect example from Scripture. When David faced Goliath, he didn't focus on the giant before him. He focused on himself as the victor. He dwelt in the consciousness of victory before a single stone was thrown. This is the secret that most of the world has missed. David focused on himself as the winner, not on the problem before him. You see, most people have it backwards. They focus on what they want to change in their external world. They focus on their problems, their limitations, their current circumstances. But I tell you now, this is like trying to change your reflection in the mirror by arguing with the mirror. You must change yourself and the reflection will change automatically. When I tell you to focus on yourself, I am telling you to focus on the state you wish to occupy. If you want wealth, focus on yourself as wealthy. If you want love, focus on yourself as loved. If you want success, focus on yourself as successful. But, and this is crucial, you must do this from the inside out. Consider this every night before you sleep. Where does your focus go? Most of you focus on the events of the day, the problems you face, the things you lack. But I tell you, this is the exact opposite of what you should do. Instead, focus on yourself in the state of your wish fulfilled. Feel yourself to be the person who has what you desire. Many of you may be thinking, but Neville, isn't this selfish? Shouldn't we focus on others? Let me be very clear, there are no others. What you see as others are aspects of yourself pushed out. Therefore, when you truly focus on yourself, your highest self, your divine self, you are focusing on all of humanity. For we are all one consciousness, individualized into seemingly separate beings. The great secret that the mystics and prophets have tried to share throughout the ages is this: your consciousness is the only reality. Everything else, absolutely everything, springs from your consciousness. Therefore, focusing on yourself is not selfish. It is the most profound act of creation you can engage in. Let me share with you a technique I have often used and taught. When you go into the silence of your own being, focus on yourself as having already achieved your desire. Do not think of how it will happen. Do not think of the process. Think only of the end, of the person you would be when your desire is fulfilled. If you wish to be wealthy, do not focus on making money. Focus on yourself as someone who is already wealthy. Feel the naturalness of wealth. Feel how you would feel if wealth were your natural state. Feel the security, the freedom, the peace that comes with wealth. This is focusing on yourself in the proper way. If you seek love, do not focus on finding someone to love you. Focus on yourself as someone who is deeply loved and cherished. Feel how you would feel if perfect love were your natural state. Feel the warmth, the security, the joy of being completely loved. This is focusing on yourself in the state of the wish fulfilled. Some of you might be wondering, but what about action? Don't we need to do something? Yes, action will come, but it will come naturally and effortlessly when you are properly focused on yourself in the state of the wish fulfilled. The actions will flow from your new state of consciousness, not from your current state of lack. Remember the story of Moses parting the Red Sea. He didn't focus on the impossibility before him. He didn't focus on the problem. He focused on himself as one who had the power to lead his people to safety. His focus on himself as the deliverer created the miracle. The sea parted not because of what he did, but because of who he knew himself to be. This is the true meaning of focusing on yourself. It is not about ego. It is not about selfishness. It is about recognizing and claiming your divine nature. It is about understanding that you are the operant power in your world. Everything you see, everything you experience is pure. When you walk through your day, remember this truth. The world you see is yourself pushed out. Every person you meet is yourself pushed out. Every circumstance you encounter is yourself pushed out. Therefore, to change anything, focus on yourself, not the outer self, but the inner self, the consciousness from which all things spring. I want you to grasp this principle so deeply that it becomes the foundation of your entire life. Your consciousness is the only reality. Your I amness is God. Therefore, when you focus on yourself, your true self, you are focusing on the creative power of the universe. Do not make the mistake of thinking that focusing on yourself means becoming self-centered in the egotistical sense. This is not about the personality, the outer self. This is about recognizing and claiming your divine nature. This is about understanding that you are the operant power in your world. Let me share with you another profound truth. The state you focus on becomes your reality. If you focus on yourself as limited, as lacking, as unable, that becomes your reality. But if you focus on yourself as the embodiment of success, of abundance, of love, that becomes your reality. The choice is yours. And you make this choice through your focus. Consider the story of Joseph in the Bible. While in prison, he didn't focus on his circumstances. He focused on himself as the interpreter of dreams, as one who had a divine gift. His focus on himself in this elevated state led him from the prison to the palace. This is the power of proper self-focus. Many of you spend your days focusing on what's wrong in your life, what's missing, what needs to be fixed. But I tell you now, this is the opposite of what you should do. Instead, focus on yourself as the person who has what you desire. Feel yourself to be that person. Live from that state. The world is yourself pushed out. Therefore, when you focus on yourself properly, you are focusing on the cause, not the effect. You are focusing on the root, not the fruit. You are focusing on the creator, not the creation. When you go to sleep tonight, I want you to focus on yourself as the person you wish to be. Feel the naturalness of being that person. Feel how that person would feel. Let this feeling saturate your consciousness. This is not imagination in the fantasy sense. This is using your imagination as the creative power it truly is. Remember, your consciousness is the only reality. Everything else, your body, your circumstances, your relationships, your possessions, these are all effects. They are all yourself pushed out. Therefore, to change any effect, you must change the cause, and the cause is always your consciousness, your concept of yourself. Let me be very clear about this. When I tell you to focus on yourself, I am telling you to focus on the state of consciousness you wish to occupy. If you want health, focus on yourself as healthy. If you want wealth, focus on yourself as wealthy. If you want love, focus on yourself as loved. But do this from the inside out, not the outside in. Many of you try to change things from the outside in. You try to change your circumstances first, hoping that this will change how you feel about yourself. But this is backwards. You must change yourself first, your concept of yourself, your inner knowing, and then the outer world will conform to this new self-concept. Think of it this way. Everything you see in your world is yourself pushed out. Therefore, if you don't like what you see, don't try to change the outer picture. Change yourself, your concept of yourself, and the outer picture must change to match your new self-concept. This is why focusing on yourself is so crucial. Not the self that the world knows, but the self that is your true identity. Focus on yourself as the person who already has what you desire. Feel the naturalness of being that person. Live from that state. Let me share with you another principle that I have tested and proven. The state you occupy is the state that manifests. If you occupy the state of lack, lack manifests. If you occupy the state of abundance, abundance manifests. If you occupy the state of love, love manifests. This is law. Therefore, when you focus on yourself in the state you wish to manifest. If you want success, focus on yourself as successful. Feel how you would feel if success were your natural state. Let this feeling saturate your consciousness until it becomes your dominant state. Many of you make the mistake of trying to change things in your outer world while maintaining the same concept of yourself. But I tell you now, this is impossible. The outer world can only reflect your concept of yourself. It cannot be otherwise. Think of yourself as a radio broadcasting station. Whatever frequency you broadcast, whatever state you occupy, that is what manifests in your world. Therefore, to change your world, change your broadcast. Change your concept of yourself. When you go into meditation or prayer, do not focus on what you want to change in your outer world. Focus on yourself as the person who already has what you desire. Feel the naturalness of being that person. Let this feeling saturate your consciousness. Remember, the feeling is the secret. Not the intellectual understanding, not the affirmations, not the visualizations, although these can be helpful tools. The feeling of being the person who already has what you desire is the key. Let me give you a practical application of this principle. If you want more money in your life, do not focus on getting money. Focus on yourself as someone who naturally has money. Feel how you would feel if money were your natural state. Feel the security, the freedom, the peace that comes with having money. If you want better relationships, do not focus on finding the right person or fixing your current relationships. Focus on yourself as someone who naturally experiences wonderful relationships. Feel how you would feel if perfect relationships were your natural state. The world is yourself pushed out. Therefore, whatever you focus on in yourself becomes your reality. If you focus on lack, lack manifests. If you focus on abundance, abundance manifests. If you focus on love, love manifests. This is law. Many of you spend your time trying to manipulate the outer world, trying to make things happen. trying to control circumstances and people. But I tell you now, this is unnecessary. Focus on yourself, your concept of yourself, and the outer world must conform to this self-concept. Remember, there is only one cause in all creation, and that cause is consciousness. Your consciousness, your I am-ness. Therefore, when you focus on yourself properly, you are focusing on the only creative power in existence. Let me share with you another profound truth. The state you accept as real is the state that manifests. If you accept yourself as limited, limitation manifests. If you accept yourself as abundant, abundance manifests. If you accept yourself as love, love manifests. Therefore, when you focus on yourself, focus on accepting the state you wish to manifest. Accept it as real. Accept it as natural. Accept it as your true state. This acceptance is crucial. Many of you struggle with accepting the state you desire because your senses tell you otherwise. But I tell you now, your senses only show you what has been manifested from past states of consciousness. They cannot show you what is possible. I think of it this way: your senses can only show you what has been. They cannot show you what can be. Therefore, do not let your senses dictate your concept of yourself. Choose the concept you wish to embody and focus on that. When you go to sleep tonight, I want you to focus on yourself as the person you wish to be. Feel the naturalness of being that person. Accept this as your true state. Let this acceptance saturate your consciousness until it becomes your dominant state. Remember, the outer world can only reflect your concept of yourself. It cannot be otherwise. Therefore, if you want to change your outer world, change your concept of yourself. This is the true meaning of focusing on yourself. Many of you make the mistake of trying to change things in your outer world while maintaining the same concept of yourself. But I tell you now, this is like trying to change your reflection in the mirror by arguing with the mirror. You must change yourself, and the reflection will change automatically. Let me share with you another principle that I have tested and proven. The state you persist in is the state that manifests. If you persist in the state of lack, lack manifests. If you persist in the state of abundance, abundance manifests. If you persist in the state of love, love manifests. Therefore, when you focus on yourself, persist in the state you wish to manifest. If you want success, persist in seeing yourself as successful. Feel how you would feel if success were your natural state. Let this feeling become so familiar that it becomes your dominant state. Remember, persistence is crucial. You cannot occupy a state for a moment and expect it to manifest. You must persist in the state until it becomes your natural state, your dominant state. Many of you give up too soon. You occupy a state for a day or two, see no results, and return to your old state. But I tell you now, persistence is key. Persist in the state you wish to manifest, regardless of appearances. Think of it this way: when you plant a seed, you don't dig it up every day to see if it's growing. You trust the law of growth. In the same way, when you plant a new concept of yourself, trust the law of manifestation. Persist in the state, regardless of appearances. Let me share with you another profound truth. The state you believe in is the state that manifests. If you believe in limitation, limitation manifests. If you believe in abundance, abundance manifests. If you believe in love, love manifests. Therefore, when you focus on yourself, focus on believing in the state you wish to manifest. Believe in it completely. Believe in it naturally. Believe in it your true state. This belief is crucial. Many of you struggle with believing in the state you desire because your past experiences tell you otherwise. But I tell you now, your past experiences only show you what has been manifested from past beliefs. They cannot show you what is possible with new beliefs. Think of it this way: your past experiences can only show you what has been. They cannot show you what can be. Therefore, do not let your past experiences dictate your beliefs about yourself. Choose the beliefs you wish to embody and focus on those. When you go about your day, I want you to focus on yourself as the person you wish to be. Believe in this version of yourself completely. Accept it as your true state. Let this belief saturate your consciousness until it becomes your dominant state. Remember, the outer world can only reflect your beliefs about yourself. It cannot be otherwise. Therefore, if you want to change your outer world, change your beliefs about yourself. This is the true meaning of focusing on yourself. Let me share with you one final principle. The state you live from is the state that manifests. If you live from lack, lack manifests. If you live from abundance, abundance manifests. If you live from love, love manifests. Therefore, when you focus on yourself, focus on living from the state you wish to manifest. If you want success, live from the state of success. Feel how you would feel if success were your natural state. Let this feeling guide your thoughts, your words, your actions. Remember, living from a state is different from trying to achieve a state. When you live from a state, you are that state now. When you try to achieve a state, you push it into the future. Many of you make the mistake of putting your desired state into the future. You say, I will be successful, I will be wealthy, I will be loved. But I tell you now, this keeps your desire forever.